Alrighty guys, we're back for Azorius Control, and this is a Foundation Standard Brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, this was a suggestion over in the Discord from a patron, so thank you so much for the suggestion. It's gonna be a fun one. Well, it's Control, so we got some counter spells. We have all four, 3 steps ahead. Beautiful. Gotta do some rearranging more often than not. It'll be a 3 mana card. We also have a couple Phantom Interference, same concept, more often than not, 2 mana counterspell. Nice. We also have a couple No More Lies in here too. And guys, all of these counterspells can be your counterspells of choice, but for me, it was pretty important that these cards did more than just counter cards. And the reason being is we're rocking Sphinx of Forgotten Lore in here. A 4 mana 3/3 with flash and flying. Whenever this creature attacks, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. Okay, pretty cool, man. So maybe you already countered something earlier with a 3 steps ahead. At that point, when you do end up swinging in with your Sphinx of Forgotten Lore, you could give flashback to your 3 steps ahead and then cast the spree cost like the middle ability, right? Or the bottom ability if you need to draw. But the middle ability is pretty cool because create token. That's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. You could totally copy the Sphinx of Forgotten Lore. Sphinx is one of our win conditions because it's flying in the air, and we do have other flyers that'll help us win too, like Ezrim, Agency Chief, working well with all the additional artifacts that we'll be generating in here. We'll be generating artifacts with Sunfall, for example, right? We got 3 Sunfalls packed in. Generating artifacts with Deduce, a pretty good card draw, but also a card that I would not mind casting back from the grave with a Sphinx of Forgotten Lore. Actually think that just holds a lot of value then. We also have like Restless Anchorage also acting as one of our flying win conditions, but also generating some artifacts for that Ezrim to use. While we're going over win conditions, we also have Horned Loch-Whale here on the top end, just a nice big old chunky creature, but then also we might as well do some more rearranging too, because more often than not, you'll be activating that adventure side before you actually cast this as the Horned Loch-Whale. Now, this adventure side is a bit of tempo removal. We have other tempo removal packed in with all 4 Into the Flood Maws. Okay. But then we have normal removal packed in too with a couple Elspeth Smite and a couple Get Lost that'll definitely do the thing. We have other card draw packed in with a couple quick studies. Just generic card draw, 3 mana, draw 2 cards. I like it. Nothing too fancy there. I guess other win conditions as well as other card draw too. So Jace, the Perfected Mind, make the cut as a 2 of. It's just a pretty good controlling card, isn't it? And the +1 actually really does come in handy way more than you would think. Okay, what else do we got packed into the mana base, guys? Well, we got all 4 Floodfarm Verge. Okay. We got 3 of the archives acting as plains and island. Is pretty important when you're playing with the Verge because I always say it, I hope the Verge doesn't punish us, but every now and then you'll only see Verge in like your opening hand, and it's actually pretty bad then all of a sudden, you know? So the 3 Restless Anchorage that I talked about, we got 1 of Demolition Field, couple Fountainport, and a Mirrex, also generating some artifacts for that Ezrim, huh? Up here we have a Hidden Cataract because this is the type of deck list that doesn't mind having a tapped land on your opening turn. And I don't think it's going to mind too much if your 6th turn is also a tapped land and you still have 5 other mana open too. Because every now and then you'll have so much mana, this Discover 4 will actually just be terrific, especially if you're trying to discover a board wipe like Day of Judgment. I almost forgot to go over this. We have 3 Day of Judgments in here too, just a good clean 4 mana board wipe. All right, guys, is that everything already? Yeah, some honorable mentions over here. Unsummon over Into the Flood Maw. That's up to you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of moments where we're going to want to protect our own creatures with an unsummon, but you never know. I think Into the Flood Maw for this deck list makes more sense, though. Early board wipes like Split Up or Temporary Lockdown is a good idea based on what you're seeing in the meta. Enduring Curiosity was actually in the original suggested deck list, and I dropped it for the Sphinx of Forgotten Lore because I really want to play with the Sphinx and I couldn't think of anything else to cut for this one. And then this Spell Gyre was a counterspell I considered. Just it would be another counterspell that does more than just counterspells, and I think that is going to be important, but just didn't make the cut this time. All right, I do my dandiest. Save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take this into some ranked and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. Heck yeah, we do. What am I expecting from the build? I think it's going to be pretty good, man. I do. I'm a little concerned with how I'm going to perform with the deck list, but I think the deck list will be pretty good, right? Opponent goes first. We have 25 total mana in here, guys. If we miss mana on our way to our 4th turn, then I do think we're going to be in danger. Surveil here, early tempo. We do have a turn 2 counterspell. We're going to try it, but I definitely... Okay, there we go. We actually found more mana. That's good. That's great. I did consider the mulligan since we only had 2. I guess we keep card draw on top. I see no reason to send that right now, but we could send it in hopes of maybe flashing it back with the Sphinx. I also think it's totally fine just to draw there as well. Okay, Phantom Interference open. That could be pretty good. Okay. I guess a 2-mana counterspell for a 2-mana Malcolm is fine. The problem is now we're tapped out, so they can get a better value, like 3 drop down or something. Like a Flesh Gorger, for example. That's a problem. Alright. Alright, Sunfall. Right, yeah, we should probably keep that, but I am very concerned about the mana right now. We have Into the Flood Maw open and a No More Lies open as well. They start with the swing. I say we don't go Into the Flood Maw yet. We take the 3 either way, and we're not concerned about their life gain, so... Drop their 4th. Let's get a good counter on a Shieldred or something, huh? That would be awesome. They could play around it, though. We already played an Phantom Interference, so they know. Alright, they are playing around it, or keeping their own counterspell, or whatever, open too, I suppose. Sunfall in hand, I would normally have sent it if I wasn't terrified. I think we're going to need that Sunfall, so... We could go... I guess we just keep it all open. If we don't counter this time, at least we have Quick Study this time too. And that'll, man, another Malcolm, huh? All right. They get the Malcolm this time. Yeah, I think Quick Study needs to find us some mana. And we need to get that board wipe as soon as possible. We're going to take the 5. And again, if they drop a good 4-drop, we'll counter it, but... That's pretty rough. Ooh, Velgavoth in the grave. Soured Springs bringing us down to 11. Okay. Anything else from the opponent? I'm on the edge of my seat, opponent. I'm on the edge of my seat. Is it going to be a good counterspell on Shieldred? Or an Archfiend? There's a lot of great 4-drops. Duelist of the Mind. We should probably try to just draw into land, right? I don't know. Okay. Okay, we'll let them play the Duelist. They're definitely playing around these counterspells, and they're playing around them well, I would say. We do find our 4th with 25 mana in here. The hand is looking a little funny. Hand is looking a little silly, guys. Right, so we could go into Jace. We could go like -3. Ooh. We're getting pretty low. If we don't see our 5th for the Sunfall next turn. Right, so let's get the 1 land that we have down. Into the Flood Maw, of course, can like tempo out the Duelist if they plan on getting that big and chunky. I don't want to take 2 for the Jace. We also have the Flash on the Sphinx. If that's something we want to do. Menace on the Flesh Gorger means we won't be able to trade into that. All right, guys. I think we pass it back. We discard one of the Jace, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. We might need these double Sunfall. There's no guarantee that we find our 5th mana next turn, which is concerning. So, like, using the 3 steps ahead to actually draw and discard, make sure we find the mana. But at the same time, we might die this turn from the Duelist. We could try to go Sphinx block the Duelist. Maybe that's good enough. With 5 mana open. Yeah, what the heck, man. Actually, I'll block the Malcolm. We'll do our best, huh? Up against some kind of Dimir tempo. Yeah, I don't think they have 11 coming through on the Duelist, so... There's nothing fancy. Huh. Zombify. Velgavoth. Alright, well, unfortunately, our Sphinx is going to get wiped away by the Sunfall. For a second, I thought maybe we won't need the Sunfall right away, but now we pretty much need to see the mana. We do find it. It is untapped source. Beautiful stuff. And we don't want to swing with the Sphinx first. We would if we discarded Sunfall earlier. Oh, that's very noteworthy, actually, guys. We could have had some pretty good value. Instead of discarding Jace, discard the Sunfall, swing with the Sphinx, but then they would have gained 9 here, right? So that's pretty tough. Let's see if we can pull back now. We just had 1 turn of missed mana, and I feel like we're so far behind. But yeah, that could have been interesting, because maybe we wouldn't have cared that they gained 9 on the Velgavoth, for example. Oh, Restless Reef over there, giving us a hard time. How are we going to deal with the Restless Reef? I guess Into the Flood Maw needs to be open then. Or we could power up Incubator this time round. We'll actually have that too. Man. Tough business. We're going to just keep it all open. The Deduce was not bad. Okay, this time they decide not to power up the Reef because we have the Incubator open. But the good news is nothing else fancy from the opponent then. And I'll gladly power this up right now. Go for the Throat is still like the main removal that everyone opts for, so... Alright, more mana. I definitely like seeing that. Wow. Oh, this also could have been a mulligan game, guys, for real. So with 2 pieces of Into the Flood Maw in hand, even if they counter 1, we can keep that open. I'm gonna go for the swings now. We're gonna start going. Let's do this. We also have a counterspell open too, which we're actually gonna keep all of them open. We're not even gonna play the Jace. See what they end up doing here. It's on Malcolm. We should full counter. We have 3 open still, which is important. 1, 2, 2 for the No More Lies. 2 blue sources open too if we need it. 3rd Malcolm. It's a scary card, man. Power up the Reef. Get some tempo going here. They do have an Anoint with Affliction for our 4/4, guys. I say No More Lies is worthwhile while they're tapped out, right? I'd say that's worthwhile. And I can play their tapped land. They'll have it available again next turn. Oh, Horned Loch-Whale. That works. That also works, huh? All right, let's go for the swing. Keep it all open again? Or this time do we want to go Jace? I guess we'll go Jace this time. Since we have the Horned Loch-Whale, I think that's okay. You cannot win. I guess we start milling them too, right? And we want to start drawing cards. Although milling more Velgavoths into the grave doesn't seem terrific. My thought process here is there's a possibility is that might be one of our win conditions. Zombify the Velgavoth. Well, crap. Now we have to play the other Sunfall. That's funny. I mean, do we really want to mill ourselves, though? I don't know about that, honestly. All right, let's draw off of the clue. They got a Bitter Triumph for our Jace as well. Okay, that means they're going to get to play the Jace. More mana I don't mind seeing at all. And we can't swing into a 9/9 with lifelink, so yeah, we should just go for the Sunfall. Now we'll have a 2/2 Incubator to power up, or more importantly, Horned Loch-Whale onto the Restless Reef, which is a big problem, man. We need our Demolition Field. But even if we find it, there's a chance that they could find another Restless Reef anyways. Okay, they power up the reef. Has to be an attacking creature. Looks like they might mill themselves. No, they do go for the mill on us, actually. All right. Top or bottom? It's probably top, but boy, that's what they're going to be drawing into. But they know that this Restless Reef is a problem. Yeah, they put it on top. 3 steps ahead. The Restless Anchorage would have been awesome. Oh, there's our Demolition Field. Crap. Crap. All right, we'll keep going for the swing then. On the Incubator, we have Mirrex open with our counter spells open as well. I don't know, man. This is anyone's game. I guess we could have, instead of doing that, kept the Horned Loch-Whale open too. But is that worthwhile to keep open? Flash Gorger. Yeah, that should probably be a full counter spell, and we'll also draw here as well. That's their last card. Draw 2, discard 1. They have Judgment. Okay, let's discard the... I don't know if No More Lies is actually going to land on anything right now, guys. Pretty late into the game, and we still have another 3 steps ahead in hand, too. So this time we'll keep the Horned Loch-Whale, or we could just outright play it, too. That also works. Because if we flash it in... No, we should probably keep it as a flash still. We'll see what ends up happening here. See what they draw into. Power up the reef. Another tempo play. I guess it's okay that they're milling us, but we also could have bounced this before the mill, too. Oh, except we just lost our other Sphinx, so that could be pretty bad. Well, I can imagine this is relatively annoying for the opponent. So keeping this counterspell is important. Keeping a chump blocker is important. Or swinging for 8. Or start with a card draw now to see what we end up wanting to do. Okay, Fountainport can generate a chump blocker for the reef, but either way we should probably keep one back here too. So I'll gladly swing the Horned Loch-Whale to put him on a clock. Fountainport can generate another chump blocker if they find removal. If they do find removal, we also have 3 steps ahead. Okay. Okay, guys. We're doing the control thing. I just hope I'm doing it well enough right now. It was land. What's left in their hand here? Bitter. We should counter that, and we will not draw. Yeah, GG opponent. That's rough, man. That's rough. All right, 13-minute game, almost a 14-minute game. We really locked down. After the beginning, we had a rough time finding mana, so 25. I don't want to say we want 26 just yet, because as far as control deck lists go, you know, it's not like too steep on the casting costs. But we'll see, we'll see. More testing required for sure on the mana base. But so far, I mean, we eventually found the mana we needed. We kept a hand with only 2 as well, which is pretty sketchy with a deck list like this. I'd say you usually want at least 3. Even if you see 4 in your opener, you're probably fine as long as your other cards are helping you out at the beginning. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? Yeah, there we go. 3 in the opener. Board wipes for days. And 1 early thing, but we go first here too. Yeah, we keep this. I don't think... Okay, Elspeth Smite. I think we keep that. We don't know what we're up against. We might desperately need these early pieces. Especially if it's Boros. Okay. Spellbook Vendor. Huh. Could tempo that out, but I don't think I'm going to. I think we're going to let them keep that. We'll be patient with our Into the Flood Maw. Okay, more mana. That's great news. All right. We can get the anything we want down successfully. And then pass it on back. Yeah, if they spend some of their mana to boost the vendor to a 3/3 and they swing with it, then the Elspeth Smite will clean that up really nicely. And then the patience with the Into the Flood Maw really works out then. All right, let's see what they do here. Attached to target creature. They could put it on the one that's not attacking. It does look like they are putting it on the one that's attacking, though, which is great news. And then Elspeth Smite. They do get the Scry still, but that is pretty clean. All right, we're still going to be patient with this Into the Flood Maw, especially since we have so many board wipes too. Okay, we have Flash on the Sphinx. Oh, Jace is probably pretty good, though. That's a great draw, man. I'll just play that. If we had a counterspell in hand, I don't think I'd play the Jace. I think I'd hold back, but with just Into the Flood Maw and Sphinx open, just establishing a pretty powerful Planeswalker seems excellent. Oh, Emberheart Challenger. That's a little bit of haste. You could drop a couple more creatures if you want, opponent. That's fine. Ooh, Monstrous Rage. Our Jace is not making it out of this alive, huh? Yeah. But Jace is taking a huge amount of pressure off of our face here. So much so that they might even just swing face, man. They're actually going to put that... Okay. They bring the vendor up. Oh, that's right. The rolls would have replaced anyways. All right. Jace took 6 damage for us. We probably just... I mean, another Day of Judgment. That pretty much tells us what we have to do here, right? And again, potentially another game where we're sweating for mana. A lot of control lists, you really like to see mana every single turn, so we could once again consider 26 mana, but what are we dropping for it? Still need more testing required, though. Okay, Hasty Heartfire Hero. Of course, we want the Exile on the Sunfall for that, but are we really going to 1-for-1? Maybe. Well, not yet, we're not, huh? Let's see that Surveil. Well, now that we got our 5th mana, now do we want our 6th? I guess not. I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess not. Because there could be even more mana underneath that island, too. So we'll keep Sphinx open and Into the Flood Maw, but I gotta be real with you guys, it's probably Into the Flood Maw. We also have a chump with the Fountainport if we need to, but chumping against Boros is pretty hard with the 8 Monstrous Rage that they have packed in. The 59 Monstrous Rage. Now, that's what it feels like sometimes, though, right? Okay, Manifold Mouse. And they're not even going Offspring here. So must be more in hand. Yeah, it's going to be Into the Flood Maw, I would think. However, if we just chump with the Fountainport, we take 1. If it's trample, then we've taken a lot of damage, but we have Sunfall next turn. Clean these up. All right, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. What we're risking here is another Monstrous Rage or card that gives trample in general, right? Which I would say very likely since they didn't do the Offspring on Manifold Mouse. But I mean, it's also not like we're going to die here, right? Wow, chump happens. And I rambled for nothing. More creatures maybe, and that would be devastating for the opponent. It's going to be a Demonic Ruckus. More mana. All right. Yeah, especially when it's a Restless Anchorage, we don't mind seeing that at all. All right, Sunfall. Brutal. They don't get the damage from the Heartfire hero. And hopefully we can start generating a lot of value from the Sphinx of Forgotten Lore then when it comes time. But right now, there's nothing in our graveyard worthwhile, but... All right, another Restless Anchorage. Don't mind seeing it. We can successfully power this up, start swinging, and keep the Sphinx open. Awesome. Let's see what they find here. Yeah, any mice that they see, they can give haste to. GG opponent. Yeah, they must have missed some creatures there. I mean, we had some pretty clean 2-for-1s. We saw mana when we needed to see it. Good stuff. Also, we were still at 16 life. Holy cow. We weren't in danger at all, guys. What on earth? I like the Spellbook Vendor edition, by the way. That was cool. That was cool, opponent. Spellbook Vendor, I guess, counts as a target for Valiant, right? So, yeah, that's nice. I'd say it was definitely worthwhile keeping that Elspeth Smite on top. But then also, we went first too, which I'd say is pretty lucky. Speaking of which, we go first again. Wow. A lot of card draw. Only early removal here is Get Lost, but the card draw is definitely making this worthwhile, right? Start with the Restless Anchorage, of course. Demolition Field in hand this time if we have another issue with a Restless land. Okay, Phantom Interference is a really good draw. We'll see what's worthwhile for countering. If we're going first against more like super aggro, we are too. All right, well, first of all, that's worth a counterspell. While we have the counterspell, we should counter, I would say. And I hope that's okay. All right, Fountainport can be the land. Totally fine. We have Quick Study open, which I'd prefer over the Get Lost, but we'll see what they end up playing. It's gonna be a Get Lost. Alright. Alright. Have some map tokens, opponent. There you go, buddy. Another Get Lost. Okay. Well, I would prefer the Quick Study. But now we have Deduce and Get Lost open, so let's see what they do. This is going to be another deck list, too, that we probably wouldn't mind seeing some of our board wipes, but there is a problem with we don't have 2 white sources on the board. All of our board wipes need 2 white sources. Okay, let's see what they see off the top with the Challenger. They find a Manifold Mouse just till the end of this turn, right? And they find a Mountain off the map, which is actually really good for them, isn't it? Let's see what they end up doing here. It's a Hired Claw. Okay. So we could take the 2, draw 2 on the Quick Study. And I think that's probably what we should do, right? We want to do it now because we could find like an Elspeth Smite. We do not, but that is okay. 5th mana, but see no 2 white sources on the board. Demolition Field also only destroys non-basic land, which the opponent does not have. Can't cast Ezrim yet too because of the mana. Well, first of all, we play the 5th land, I suppose. We don't really want to draw on our turn when we have so many instant speed things in hand. and we just like pass it back, right? We can't even power up the Restless Anchorage, funny enough. All right, 5th mana from the opponent. That's a lot of land for them. They go map token, see what's on top. They get lost, working really well with these Valiant abilities for the opponents. They find more land, actually, so they get a little punished for dropping the 5th mana early. Another Hired Claw on top. Hired Claw, I wonder if we drop the Sphinx and try to block the Hired Claw. Or we could just take the 5 that's going to be hitting and go quick study and deduce. Try to find that board wipe. Right? I'm not convinced the get lost on the challenger's worthwhile yet. Right? Because we kind of want to keep that for another surprise nemesis. But Sphinx blocking Hired Claw could be worthwhile. But they probably have Monstrous Rage anyways. I think we're just going to draw for the turn, guys. We also have Fountainport if we want to try to chump, but that's also not worthwhile against mono red. Like I made that joke. The 59 Monstrous Rage packed into their 60 card deck list, right? So it's really, really hard to chump. We go for the Hired Claw ability. Okay. Gonna be an extra 5. Go down to 12. I think it's worth drawing, man. We could see a White Source and a Sunfall or something. They're thinking like, do we risk plugging something on top of these creatures, or are we satisfied with this amount of damage? That's my guess, right? It probably is a Monstrous Rage. If we were choosing, like, we're waiting for the last moment for the get lost, but we have enough mana where we actually could have just went quick study, tried to find that Elspeth Smite or something anyways. Then we still would have had the 2 open. We might as well do that right now then, right? See what we see. Because we still have Get Lost open. That's important. Yeah, we do actually find the Elspeth Smite too. Well, we'll try it. We'll totally try it. On which creature though? And the second White Source is so good here. It comes down to the opponent's decision again. Do they want to boost these creatures at all? Especially now that we only have the 2 mana open. So see, well, maybe we don't try it then. Maybe we... Man, that's tough. That's a tough decision. Yeah, they boosted around it anyways, but at least we got the card draw. I'll try it. We'll try it. It's fine. Totally fine, especially since the deck list is performing pretty well so far too, and giving us a lot of great decisions. It actually just lands. No issues, bro. Okay. That's great news, I guess. Still on the opponent though. 4 cards in hand. If it wasn't a Monstrous Rage to at the very least protect the challenger, right? Give it prowess, give it an extra boost. Monstrous Rage? What? Bro? Maybe the opponent's lagging. I guess you never know, right? So it was there. They could have saved their Ember Heart challenger. I have no idea. Oh wow, Into the Flood Maw also would have been pretty darn good there. I have no idea exactly what the opponent was doing there. I guess there's a lot of different things that could have been happening. So Ezrim doesn't even block that well right now until we can actually give it... Oh, we will have the 1 open for the lifelink. Even then... All right, I guess we try the Ezrim. 1 open, we investigate twice here. If they go like Witch Stalker Frenzy or something, we can give it hexproof off of one of the clues. Yeah, that works. For some reason, when I was looking at Ezrim in my hand too, I thought that the bottom ability was 2 mana to activate the bottom. I'm not really sure why I was thinking that. What What on earth is left in the opponent's hand? So, of course, some more shock style abilities too, but we definitely, and when they swing with the Hired Claw, we definitely try the block because we'd love, even if they end up killing the Ezrim with another Monstrous Rage, what we really want is the lifelink on the Ezrim. Okay, Lightning Strike. We'll let them waste the other burn in their hand first before giving Hexproof. Alright, let's get that Hexproof going. They might have more burn in hand too, right? No, okay, awesome. And I will take that trade all day. Double Hired Claws on the board is terrifying. Or hear me out. Or we take this down to 7 and swing with a lifelink Ezra next turn. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. I like that risky play a little bit more. 3 steps ahead. Right. Lifelink. Oh, you know what? Lifelink and Vigilance is actually a little better, right? That way we can still block successfully. Oh, Sunfall, that'll come in handy. This is probably a little greedy too. This is the type of plays that I enjoy though. Vigilance. Alright, back up to 12. We have Get Lost open with an Into the Flood Maw open as well. And a nice chunky 5/5 flyer, which is awesome. Before they swing, we might want to go into the Flood Maw and the Hired Claw. It's more tempo related than the Get Lost, but the Get Lost still needs to be there for the Screaming Nemesis when it comes time. So I guess before the swing, we should bounce one of the Hired Claws so they're not slipping through as much, right? Rockface Village. I don't need full control for that. I think it'll stop before they swing. I'll just do it now, actually. That's totally fine. Tempo it back to their hand. GG opponent. Wow. All right. 3 victories in a row. 37 minutes into the video. We're going to push it a little overtime. Yeah, I did actually have fun. It's nice being on the other end sometimes. Oh man, hopefully I'm playing it out well enough too, but even if I'm not, the deck list is really performing, isn't it? It's definitely doing the control thing nicely. Guys, while I have you here towards the end of the video, make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link as well as that Patreon link too, if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. And then also for the YouTube nonsense, if you like the video, make sure you actually drop it a like. And if you enjoy the channel, then consider subscribing because it really does help out the channel. So thank you guys. All right, last game of the evening. It can go however it wants to go. I'm completely satisfied with everything so far. 2 mana. Opponent goes first. Let's risk it. Yeah, let's keep it. Let's see what happens. Oh, we don't have a blue source. Oh crap, the Verge, bro. That's really bad. That's really bad. Oh, Spellbook Vendor. Hi, making another appear. Oh, blue source. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh, I was sweating. There we go. Blue source on the board. Woo. That was scary. Because I thought it was keepable. The Verge lands can be a little scary sometimes. All right, let's see what they do with the Spellbook Vendor. Probably onto the Challenger so they can see off the top. But it's only till the end of their turn anyways. So Elspeth Smite hitting the Challenger is excellent. He's a 3/3. They swing. Oh, crap. Yeah. Elspeth Smite can only hit attacking creatures. For some reason, I thought I messed up there. I'm going to be very patient with this Into the Flood Maw, just like I was in the previous games. And gladly just take the 2 here. All right. Another Deduce. But if we don't do anything else this turn, Well, Horned Loch-Whale and Into the Flood Maw open, or preferably the Quick Study. We'll see what ends up happening, though. Fourth mana from Boros. Spellbook Bender. They do spend the 1. I think I'm going to take the 3 and go for the Quick Study. Or we don't let them get the scry. We tempo and deduce, right? I think that's also worthwhile. Deduce trading itself out here. Oh, Offspring. Oh, nice, opponent. That's awesome. You're going for the full Valiant. Okay, we need some land. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Do we go for it? Do we go for the draw? Try to find our 4th? If we try to find our 4th, it should be on a Deduce over the Quick Study. That way, if it is our 4th and it's untapped, it's not untapped, but it is our 4th. It's worthwhile. It gets us one step closer to the Sunfall. But they do have a turn of it's just a free swing, so hopefully they don't find too much here. It's a quest caller, sheltered by ghosts as well. Wow. All right, opponent, we're down to 11. Into the Flood Maw, we need to find mana every turn, and I really am considering the 26th land. I don't know what we drop. Into the Flood Maw's great tempo. We can bounce the quest caller. I think we can easily die this turn, though, if we don't keep 2 pieces of tempo open. So they got hexproof on this guy. Right. We need 2 pieces of tempo. We can't risk the draw this time, right? I hope I'm making the correct decision here, guys. We just need to bank off of actually drawing the 5th next turn for the Sunfall. Tali's favor. Dude, this is a problem. This is a problem, man. Okay. We also don't want to pay the ward cost, so that Swordmaster is just going to be swinging in. See what they discover. Oh, Emberheart Challenger. Dude, we're in danger. Oh, crap. I think that the Into the Flood Maw will still bounce the Swordmaster. Whatever this card is that we don't know, I really hope. Oh, no. Okay. Crap. That's not good. That's not good. I probably should have... They would have just... Yeah. I probably should have bounced this. At instant speed, though, they can do this. No, activate only as a sorcery. Crap, guys, crap. That's my bad. That's extra damage. Horned Loch-Whale is available. We can take 8 by bouncing the Challenger. Or it's actually a similar concept if we bounce the Quest Caller, but Quest Caller doesn't have haste. Right? This is 4 less damage. Since it's boosting mice. And it's 2 swinging in, too. They probably put it on top. Ow. We don't find the 5th. Oh no, guys. Oh no. I think we're dead. I think we're super duper dead. I also think I could have played that out a little better because we took 2 extra damage because I didn't go into the Flood Maw on the Swordmaster Offspring before they were able to, like when we had priority is what I mean. So at that point, Jace can come down, not doing anything. We have a surprise Sphinx, probably also not doing anything because they're going to draw the Quest Caller. 1 second, opponent. I'm thinking, buddy. Is there anything we could do, anything we could see off the top that would help us survive here? Yes, Sphinx Flash, potential block into Swordmaster. The Atali's favor was terrifying, man. right? I guess it's Deduce. I don't think there's actually anything. We do find the 5th. It is a tapped source anyways. So, good game, opponent. I'll tell you what, could have gone either way. Definitely need to consider the 26 mana. There's the quest caller. We'll draw on the clue. They also, I guess they don't know what's in hand, so they do want to completely play this out too. Give the quest caller... Actually, they just go for the Swordmaster boost. That does make sense. Oh, Rockface Village doesn't give haste to bunny rabbits anyways. All right, so we'll draw. See what's on top. Good game. Got the deck win rate down to a 75%. I can imagine if we kept playing... There's an untapped source. I can imagine if we kept playing that it would start to balance itself properly, right? Like start bringing itself down to around that 60%, maybe a little lower too. I'm not 100% certain, and I don't know how to judge control decks very well either. So I guess that's another thing too. All right, guys, 46 minutes in, Azorius Control. Here's the deck list again. We got to drop something, go up to 26, right? Because every single game, I'm pretty sure all 4 of those games, I was like, man, we just need mana. But what is the 26th mana that we even go up? Like another Mirrex, maybe? The problem with Mirrex is it only mana fixes on your turn, so it actually kind of clogs up cards like No More Lies. We actually saw in that game too, where just having the Fountainport and the Demolition Field on the board together was actually just pretty bad. But most of the time, you're going to be fine. And you're actually just going to really appreciate seeing these utility lands too. There's our utility lands and the Hidden Cataract as well. Even if we saw the Hidden Cataract off the top, it was still going to be tapped. But we ended up drawing into it, so the fact that we drew into it meant that it didn't matter that it was actually tapped. Still going to be a similar concept where you're going to just really appreciate seeing these utility lands. And there are going to be games where there's nothing left to do except for discover 4, and maybe you find a Day of Judgment, now you're back in the game or something, you know what I mean? So would have loved to see the Sphinx of Forgotten Lore do a little bit more today. But as a 2 of, you know, we don't see it that often, but then also we're just constantly in a state of we need to control what the opponent's doing because they're just always doing too much, you know what I mean? There's also that one game where I flashed it down only to kind of be forced into a Sunfall the turn after, so we ended up losing the Sphinx anyways. And that was my fault. It really was. I could have played that out a little bit differently. Yeah, the deck list performed really well. One of the cards on the chopping block is potentially Jace. I think we have enough win conditions in here, enough ways to swing, enough flying things, and if we miss some of our flying things, we'll maybe see a Restless Anchorage. Horned Loch-Whale is also chunky enough to help us get the job done. Jace is potentially on the chopping block, and if we drop him, we go up a land, and we go up maybe more card draw, but honestly, just like more removal is going to be fine too. Or early board wipes. More early board wipes like against that Boros list, of course, would have been amazing. Temporary Lockdown would have completely wiped their board, so I could also see that too. At that point, if we go down it, we could keep like 1 Jace, still a little bit of a value card, a little bit of card draw, potentially. Still a win condition. Jace. How do we feel, Jace? How do we feel? Let's see here. If we were to go up something like Temporary Lockdown, right? Or Split Up. Split Up also works, I guess. The reason Split Up could work a little better is because there are there's a lot of Get Lost in Standard, which of course cleans up Temporary Lockdown. Mana value 2 or less, though. The problem with Split Up 2 is because how opponents are actually like playing cards out and stuff. They end up swinging with 2 creatures, then they play the 3rd creature, and their 3rd creature's untapped, so Split Up doesn't actually wipe the board, where Temporary Lockdown just gets rid of all the mana value 2 or less. That does include, however, our clues and stuff, which we care about, right? So maybe it would be the Split Up, but like going up 1 early board wipe, Split Up doesn't have to be early though. Split Up can work later too. With the double white then on the split up, if we were to drop down to like 1 Jace, right? We're at 70% blue, 40% white. It should probably just be more dual land. And you know what dual land I want to go up to? It's super sketchy to me dropping both Jace though too. It is. It totally is. The deck was performed too well to change. That's what I'm it did. It really did. So we'll just talk about those changes, and then you guys can potentially make them if you want to. And then also, guys, what about the do not craft list? This is definitely a craft a little bit less list. It performed well enough. It felt like it was going to do the control thing very often and do it very well, to the point where kind of just felt like I didn't even have to play it out that well. You know what I mean? It was just doing its thing. You do your best, keep the cards open to react to whatever the opponent's doing. And then at that point, it just comes down to timing. And then a little bit of practice would go a long way too. Okay. So I didn't end up changing anything, right? We're still good. We got 25 mana. We got the 2 Jace. Consider a split up or other early board wipe. It depends on what meta you're seeing. Consider dropping the Jace as well. If you end up dropping the Jace, you might as well drop both of the Jace and go up whatever you think is best. I think that would be fine. Yeah, put it on the craft a little bit less list. If you don't have Sphinx of the Forgotten Lore, that's fine. Find another flash creature to put in instead. Although I do think, like, there's a reason I wanted to try out the 2 Sphinx of Forgotten Lore. But in the original suggested deck list, Enduring Curiosity was actually the flash creature of choice. So if you don't have Sphinx, don't craft it. It's mythics, you know? You could go up a couple of Enduring Curiosities instead if you have those, and those are even rare. So what if you don't have those? Well, just find another flash creature to pack in. Actually a lot to choose from, isn't there? What's the Stoic Sphinx could be interesting. 4 mana, 5/3, flash flying. Has hexproof as long as you haven't cast a spell this turn. That's kind of neat too, right? And so maybe you had a couple of those laying around doing nothing, and you didn't want to cast or craft the other Sphinx. So whenever I say craft a little bit less, that's what I mean, right? Base it on your collection, and that's pretty important. Then it depends, at that point too, it depends what kind of deck lists you enjoy playing. If you really enjoy just crushing the souls of the opponents, then the triple Day of Judgment and triple Sunfall might be a worthwhile craft for you, right? It's a similar concept with Get Lost too, because Get Lost will pair well in the same deck as the Day of the Judgment and Sunfall too. But then also Get Lost is just a good craft in general, because if you play white, it's going to go into pretty much all those deck lists. Outside of that, some of the stuff is relatively budget. Quick Study's only a common. Deduce is common. Into the Flood Maw is uncommon. And if you don't want to spend uncommon wildcards, you could just go unsummon instead, which is a common, I believe. Phantom Interference is a common. 3 steps ahead is uncommon. And a great budget trade out for 3 steps ahead is the brand new Refute, right? What am I doing, man? I'm just smacking my keyboard around. Refute. It's 3 mana, counter target spell, draw a card, then discard a card. But it's got to be worse than 3 steps ahead, right? Because 3 steps ahead gives you so many other options too. It's actually draw 2, then discard. But Refute's still really cool, and it's only common too. So this is a great budget trade out if you don't have 3 steps ahead as well. Yeah, that's a card. Other than that too, what else? Horned Loch-Whale is a rare, and Ezrim is a rare too. And I don't know if these would be worth the craft unless this is just the type of deck list that you're playing all the time. If you're just an Azorius player, an Azorius control player, you'll probably find room for that one of Ezrim very often. Similar concept with the Horned Loch-Whale, which happens to just be speaking of a flashing creature, right? It's a good flash creature, so. And the mana base too. Base the mana base on whatever you have in your collection. And actually, for control deck list, you can be relatively budget with mana bases. Number 1 is the Duskmourn common lands, right? Where enters tapped unless a player has 13 or less life. I keep bringing it up, but these feel criminally underplayed. because that's going to be very, very often that you just have 13 or less life. And then also for a control deck list too, it's not terrible if you have a couple of these coming down tapped early. But then if you do see them in the late game, they're just great lands that come down untapped. So keep your eye on those for commons, right? Then also we do see some control deck lists actually just running the life land, which is way over here, right? Tranquil Cove. That's totally fine too. Also just a common land. So a lot of interesting, great budget trade outs for a deck list like this, actually. Also, Jace is also mythic. I would say not worth the craft for this deck list because this is the card that I'm on the fence about for the deck list too. So, okay, guys. Enough rambling, huh? What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I tend to not know too much about control, and I tend to not know too much about blue cards in general. So it's always great to hear you guys' opinion on everything like this. So some other cards over here in the mana base too, like Fountainport. Again, depending on the deck list you like to play, Fountainport could also be worth the craft, as you'll find plenty of deck lists to actually squeeze this into. Of course, again, depending on the deck list that you like to play, right? All right, I just wanted to talk about Fountainport real quick. That's it, right? Yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments. What would you add or take out? What does your Azorius control deck list look like? And thank you again for the suggestion over in the Discord from a patron. So thank you. This was awesome. Yeah, I don't get to play these types of deck lists too often outside of suggestions, so it was a nice breath of fresh air too. All right, guys. Hey, I will see you in the next video.